Hello there, it is your favourite and least favourite Northern Irish philosopher. I say that because I'm probably the only Northern Irish philosopher you know. And I wanted to continue this series of videos where I outline the journey of atheism for Lent, this decentering practice that starts on the 14th of February. And we are now at part 6. Now, I did say about part 4 that it had a special place in my heart because the thinkers that we were looking at in that week are ones that I spent a lot of time reflecting on when I was doing my formal education. But this part 6, is where really it gets to some of my favourite thinkers and some of the major contemporary influences on my own work. Here you will encounter people like Caputo and Zizek, McGowan and Boothby, and these are all thinkers who I have a lot of time for. And in this section, atheism and theism become so enmeshed that there is a type of coincidence of opposites. If this Atheism for Lent course is basically going through this dialectic move where first it's theism, then it's atheism, then it's a type of theological atheism, and then an atheistic theology, and it starts to kind of get closer and closer, then in this part they become very difficult to distinguish. Now I'll say a few words about what we will learn in this part, but obviously I'm drawing broad brushstrokes. So basically, in a nutshell, one of the, I guess, simplest definitions of God, philosophically speaking, is God is a signifier that signifies that which cannot be signified. Okay, so God is a word that describes something that cannot be described. In other words, the word or the signifier has within it an acknowledgement of its own inherent impossibility. Now, there's a number of ways that you can therefore begin to make sense of that statement. In brief, you can say, like the mystics did in part 3, we can say that God names a saturated phenomenon, something that we cannot grasp that overwhelms us. You can also think of God as a grounding phenomenon, someone like Paul Tillich, where God is the ground of being, out of which subject and object arise, that we cannot grasp because it is not something that saturates us, but rather a kind of ground out of which everything arises. And we'll go through all of these and you'll get to understand them in much more depth. You can also say that God is the name for a type of openness to the future. God is the name of a type of nothingness or lack in the heart of everything. And in terms of these latter two, this is what we're touching on in part 6. We will find that there's something important that all these thinkers hold, and that is the idea that nothingness is important. It's good to talk about nothing. Not only good to talk about nothing, nothing is vitally important. And if in analytic philosophy nothing is seen as nothing, then in continental philosophy there is a real interest in what nothing is. And that can sound all very bizarre, but just think about the number 0 for a second. The number 0 didn't always exist. It was invented. And it wasn't there from the beginning of a numbered system because no one thought initially to signify nothing. At the beginning of numerical systems, people began with 1 and moved from there. They didn't think to symbolize nothing itself. In fact, it was a controversial move, and some people thought that it was satanic, because if God is everything, then symbolizing nothing is symbolizing the opposite of God. So this number was a kind of controversial idea. Well, in the same way, many people argue today, and I would as well, that we need to signify nothing, that there is a certain lack that needs to be tarried with. And so in this part of Atheism for Lent, you will discover a deep exploration of this idea that there is antagonism or lack or asymmetry or an abyssal dimension to reality that we need to symbolize in some way. And this gets to the heart of why I talk about church, not in its confessional form, but its radical form, as a type of desert in the oasis of life. Because an oasis is a place where there is sustenance, there is utility, there is conversation, and there is commerce. A desert is a place of radical thirst, radical negation. And this week we will discover and explore the idea that we need that type of radical negativity within our lives. And the reason why atheism and theism really combine in an interesting way here is it's hard to say whether this individual is theist or atheist, the people that we're going to be looking at. Some of them are more traditionally atheist. We might look at someone like McGowan and Zizek in that way, and someone like Caputo or Boothby, we might kind of feel that there's maybe something more theistic about them, but ultimately they transcend this atheism-theism binary and bring us into some much more interesting territory. So my job will be to obviously introduce these people to you, and every day, as you know, of Lent, you will be getting a daily reflection, a short reflection, maybe something to read or to listen to or to watch, some supplemental material, and then once a week I'll be giving a live seminar to kind of introduce these thinkers and help kind of put them in context. So my job is to make these ideas not only understandable, but also to help them impact you in an interesting way, to see what they do in your life. So anyway, the course starts on the 14th of February. Hope you can join me, and I will be back tomorrow to talk about the last section, which is just kind of summing everything up and introducing some of my own work. So look forward to seeing some of you there. Bye-bye.